Welcome back, team. Today we're going to be breaking down the gameplay of Irelking, the best Irelia player in the world for quite some time now. We're going to be going through his lane, his runes, his itemization, and even a full game example to see how he climbs on this champion so consistently. So if you're curious to learn what he does better than every other Irelia player out there, then this video will be great for you. How's it going, everyone? Real quick before we start the video, I'm excited to announce that I've teamed up with the Broken Bike Concept Boys, and I'm going to be running coaching classes 5 days a week in the Top Lane Academy. They've really built such a great community of passionate students trying their best to improve, so if you're keen to improve alongside them and be coached by me personally, the link will be in the description. I'd love to see you there, and I hope you enjoy the video. Starting off with runes and summoner spells. Now this section is not going to take too long, as he does take the exact same setup every single game. Doesn't matter his matchup or even what role he's playing. He always runs Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, Last Stand, and Cookies with Jack of all trades as his secondaries. He also takes the same rune shards, but if you are playing in different elo brackets, maybe in a Silver, EU Emerald, doesn't really matter. You can take scaling HP into really easy matchups, maybe like a Cho'Gath or a Scion, but I would advise against it. Just take flat HP every game, especially Cookies. You're going to be playing really volatile on this champion, so you want as much early combat power as possible. Now, if you do want to cook around with the secondary runes, I do advise not to take off Jack of all trades, as on your first recall, you want to be getting 5 stacks of it, proccing that 5 stack extra adaptive force as soon as possible on your first base. We'll go over it in the item section, but definitely don't take offers, don't take free boots, don't swap to resolve, just run the rune page that you see on the screen right now. But if you do want to cook around, maybe you could take free boots over cookies. But again, advise against it. Cookies are really good, especially in volatile matchups, and being able to bait low HP all-ins. Now for the summoner spells, just take TP and Flash every game. I've never seen them switch off of it, even if you're versus a really high healing champ, like a Warwick or a Zac. You can just rush Executioner's Calling as your first item. You don't really need Ignite. You have so much all-in combat power on this champion. You don't need the extra power from Ignite, so just run TP and Flash every single game. Moving on to the item build. Now, even though I do believe Irelia is one of the hardest top champs in the game, the runes and items are very, very simple. You're going to be going Doran's Blade every game. Doesn't matter if you're versus Akshan or Aurora, any really hard range matchup. You need to go Doran's Blade, as you have a lot of sustain already, and you want that 3 stacks of Jack of all trades. Your first item will be Blade with Irelking every game, so the first item is very simple, but the thing that you need to know, the more complex part, is stacking your Jack of all trades on your first recall. So this is a champion that you never want to cheat a recall on, unless you absolutely have to. Maybe you're 1 HP, 200 HP, no mana, something like that. But you should be avoiding that situation. You want to be able to base with at least 550, and a bit more is nice so you can get a refill. But you want to be getting dagger cloth, dagger boots, null magic boots, doesn't really matter. But you want to be getting your 5 stacks of Jack of all trades on your first recall if you can. Now, tier 2 boots will do that as well. So played steel caps, movement speed, and armor. That's going to be a good way to do it. The bottom line is just make sure you're not forced to recall early or basing yourself early, because you want to be getting that Jack of all trades proc as soon as you can. So for your second item, you're going to be going Hullbreaker or Wit's End. Same with the third item. So your first 3 items is always going to be Bork, Hullbreaker, Wit's End. But the order of what's in a Hullbreaker can change depending on the game. So if you verse a lot of CC and magic damage, so if they have a Mumu jungle, Gragas top, something very simple, or maybe more complex, maybe they have a Lee Sin or a Xin Zhao jungle, but you are up against a Kennen top, Hui mid, Leona support, they have a lot of CC and magic damage on their comp, you can go Wit's End as your second item, but most of the time it is going to be Hullbreaker. That's why I've highlighted it here. Hullbreaker second is going to be your standard. Now to get your 10th stack of Jack of all trades, because after 3 items you should have 9 stacks, you can just pick up an early sapphire crystal or the glowing mote that builds into Caulfield Hammer, depending on how much gold you have, but you will be building that into Frozen Heart or Death Stance or even more Mormortius, so you will be able to get your 10 stacks after 3 items. Sometimes he does actually pick up a glowing mote early and just sits on it until he finishes his 3rd item, if it is going to give him the 10 stack of Jack of all trades and he base with enough gold. So maybe you die with 300 gold and that'll be your 10th stack. You can just pick up a glowing mote and build it into something later, but the main point is you want to be looking to get your 5 stacks of Jack of all trades on your first recall, and then 10 stacks you can wait until 2 or 3 items, don't rush into it. Now, to finish off your build, it's going to be one of those items down below, with Moor and the Koenig Raccoon being very rare. Most of the time, from what I've seen, and you'll see a full build example very shortly, it is going to be the 3 items we've mentioned, plus Death's Dance, and then more, something like that, but you can mix it up. So I'll show an example here. You can see the standard build, Bork, tier 2 boots, Hullbreaker, Wit's End, and then DD Moore. DD Moore work really well together, so this is often his 6 item full build, but if he does need a GA, so if you are visit a high bursty comp, so let's say Z mid, Malphite top, something like that, like high ulti burst damage, where if you can survive their initial burst, you can get a lot of work done, like a Syndra, champs like that. He can go GA later on, and he'll go the early core fields to get that 10 stack Jack of all trades, and then build into GA, as it doesn't give you the 10 stack that you need. But of course, if you are visiting a heavy AD comp, you can go Tabbies, and then Hullbreaker Devs Dance, something like that. But it's pretty rare, only in extreme circumstances, or a full AP comp would send more. You can do stuff like that, but that's going to be the same on every champion, not really Irelia specific. So if you're versus a normal comp that has a little bit of magic damage, a little bit of AD, pretty balanced comp, your build is going to look like the one up top. Moving on to the most important part about Irelia, and that is the laning phase. In this game here, he's playing up against an Ambessa, which is a very volatile matchup. It is Irelia favored, but still a very skill-intensive matchup, so we're going to be seeing how he plays this out. And level 1, he's going to be looking to sit back here, doesn't want to take any damage unnecessarily, doesn't want to be walking up because Irelia's level 1 is very weak until you can get stacks, so it's better for him to wait here for a minion to get low, and the other melees to get low enough. Q's in, procs the bone plating straight away, knows he can't really stick onto him there, so he's going to be looking to stack up here before he goes in, going for his third stack, jumps off the caster, jumps onto Ambessa, forcing a good level 1 trade. But the wave was walking in, so he didn't want to force a trade for too long. But if Ambessa ever walks up like that, you can see he primes his auto attack, pre-clicks onto Ambessa in case she gets into range, so that he can keep his passive going. But now Ambessa respects, knows that she's not going to get level 2 first, waits for her own level 2, and able to respect the Irelia level 2 vs 1 all in. But now we can see, looking for an angle, the Irelia didn't Q in there because he didn't want to take a Q to the face unnecessarily, but now Ambessa's Q is on cooldown, he's going to be looking for an angle to go. So Q's in here, and you'll see very shortly, trying to get level 3 as fast as he can before he goes in. Doesn't want to go in now, waits for level 3, and goes in now straight away. So Q's in first before E, as hitting an E from max range is quite difficult. Misses the E anyway, but you can see a lot of the time, he'll just Q onto the opponent's head and throw out the E later on, even though he doesn't get the Q reset from his E. Hitting a no-scope E like that when you're not on top of your opponent can be quite difficult. So initially here, he was thinking about diving if it was possible. I think he'll shoot his E very shortly and go for it, but he does miss, so doesn't go for the dive in the end. But now we can see he is weak-sided on the split map. Skarner's going to be looking to punish him very shortly. So I'll speed up a little bit here. He's just looking to maintain prio. You can see he doesn't want to let the wave come back to him. He wants to maintain this push, so he does have the option to base whenever he wants, because after 5 waves he can base and get that Jack of all trade stack. Now we can see Skarner flying in, procs the stun straight away to stop him from getting stunned into the tower. I'll speed it up a little bit here. You can see auto holding onto Q. Just holding on to Q the whole time until Skarner's out of range, flash to follow, W to block, and he's able to pick up the 1v2. So I'll go back to it here. You can see the way he was playing it out. He held on to E. He was very aware this whole time that Skarner could come on this timer. He held on to E and utilized it to stop the Skarner from stunning him into the wall. And he's holding on, he's cutting back here. Pretty much playing like a range champ, kiting back with autos, but now he sees he's got a window where he can turn this. So chases the Skarner down, holds onto Q until later on, flash follow, and then uses W at the very end of it. So really good discipline on using E to stop the Skarner stun, using W to block the brunt of that damage, and not over chasing here, even though diving could be quite tempting. The Ambessa W, way too strong, of course. So sends his recall here, TP's back, and looking to punish with the double buff. So we'll see how he does it. Skarner knows if I let the Irelia stay there with double buffs versus no flash Ambessa, guaranteed death, so he does have to come up and try to shut her down. But she gets very close very shortly to level 6, so we'll see how she plays it out. So now Ambessa respecting hard. He's looking for any angle he can get. If you walk up, I'm going to punish. So goes onto that custom minion there, forces onto the Ambessa. You can see holds onto E, predicts the dash as well from Ambessa with the E. So pretty nice stuff by him. And now Skarner coming up. So we can see now he could look to kite out to his minion, try to disengage from Ambessa, but he sees the wave is coming in, and he's also close enough to get level 6 if he needs to in the fight. And you'll see he uses that. So he keeps up his stacks here. Q's off the wave, 1 minion off level 6 here, goes W just before the Skarner stuns him into the wall, W's to that caster so that he can jump to it if he needs to. Actually, he does need to get level 6, jumps onto them, and really good 1v2 from him. So we'll go back, we'll slow it down as it was really well played, and it'll just be a bit easier for us to see. So I'll wait till he W's hit. Put on 0.5, so Q's in to get level 6, sends the ulti straight away, so that's easier to hit the stun if they're slowed against the wall. You can see it gets the E during the Q animation, weaves it in quite nicely, gets the 1 Q down before the E hits, so he already gets 1 Q reset before the second one is available, and quickly bursts down the Ambessa, the one that does the most damage, and then Skarner, and then instantly Qs onto the rest of the wave. So really well played by him. You can see when Skarner showed up, he didn't panic, he didn't try to disengage, he knew he had a level up timer approaching, and he would be able to turn that 1v2 if he played it very well, exactly like he did. For our next matchup, Irelking's playing up against an Akshan, and I wanted to pick this one to showcase how he plays up against a ranged top lane bully. So we can see already quite respectful, walking in with the wave level 1, has that ward down from his teammate. You can always get that ward yourself if your team doesn't want to help you out. And the biggest part about this type of matchup is in the early game is making sure you don't miss any early XP. So you'll see here, this minion's just about to die, and he doesn't want to miss any XP, so he queues in. He gets the bone plating, he makes it volatile, and even though he loses a huge chunk of his HP bar, as Akshan's level 1 so powerful, he is in a position where he's not missed any XP. The Akshan hit him, which made the wave mad, which means the wave's going to be pushing back towards him, so he's going to be able to play a pretty stable 1-3. Now, the times when you can go in, has to hard respect the level 2 here, of course, doesn't want to get spun on by Akshan E. The times when you can go in is when the wave is walking up. So here, this wave is walking in, so he walks in with the wave and he uses that timer to queue onto these minions. Only gets one, aimed for two initially, but a good time to go in, as if Akshan tried to fight him there, he would tank the entire cannon wave. But now Akshan, level 3 advantage, so he's mainly going to be playing to conserve HP here. So speed up a little bit, using Q whenever he can to heal off the wave, and looking to go fishing for E's whenever he can. So here, you can see, he'll clear most of the wave before he fishes for an E. He doesn't want to dash in down when there's so many creeps, but now he's going to be looking for it. So fishes for the E, weaves in the E between his Q animation, makes it harder for Akshan to dodge, and then Q's back to the caster. So didn't want to go for an all-in there. He was a little bit low, and he probably didn't know exactly where Skarner was, so better to go for that nice short trade there. So now Akshan rotating down, he uses that opportunity not to follow him and try and get involved. He knows his team is probably dead there. He uses that opportunity to just one-shot the wave and get himself a good tempo recall. So doesn't use to TP here, just runs straight back to lane. As if he TPs and it gets too volatile, it's not going to benefit him because Akshan has TP, but also his jungler is going to be full clearing down, so it's not going to be worth TPing here for him. So walks back to lane, looks to trim the wave here. If he just let the wave crash, not only would he not have a freeze, but Akshan could save his TP as well. But because he froze, Akshan has to TP, or he's going to lose a full wave of XP. So holds the freeze here, Akshan comes back, gets it in, and he's going to be fishing for E's again. Doesn't hit that one, and something that's pretty common from good Irelias is weaving in autos between Qs. So Q's a minion, one auto, Q's a minion, one auto. Very common from him. You can see autos at minion to bring him close enough to get a weave into another auto, keeping up stacks, making it volatile, and getting a really good trade onto the Akshan. Now here, I did assume he was going to flash onto him. To be honest, it would just be flash for flash trade, but opts to hold onto it. Maybe he didn't know where Skarner was, or he just prefers having flash and smash jump. Either way, doesn't go in. Now here, he's in a really good position individually. Normally, if you're playing this type of game, you would TP top, because Akshan can't base, you can play for a dive. But if we look at the mid situation here, we can understand why he TP'd. Really volatile 3v3, everyone in this fight is 1 HP pretty much, so it goes for a TP and tries to get involved. Now, they still the TP, they backed off right away, goodbye them, so instead he just crashes the wave and goes top. Actually living the dream, he got the mid cannon and the top cannon, but normally if he would TP top there and hard punish his opponent. He's probably the most involved in the map that I've seen from any Irelia player. He does often go for early skirmishes, stuff like that, if he's got the prior, so that's going to be no exception there. So crashes that wave and walks back. He knows he wants to be all-inning, so he bases now to get even more gold, even more items, because he did just crash mid and top wave. So we can see him. Tabby's into longsword. Tabby's rush into auto tech AD top. Really good. Also gives him his jack of all trades. So now looking to punish. He got the jack earlier. He went cloth armor boots for his first buy, if you're curious. And now looking to get involved. Like I said, he's really involved with the map. So forces in here. Tries to reach onto the Skarner, but didn't want to waste his flash for an already dead target. Now going back to top. Looking to make this lane volatile and abuse his ulti. So you'll see here, he's got his eye on these caster minions. He's going to be using them at a good time. So Q's in, dashes back, wants to get the bone plating first before he goes for an all-in. And now you can see guarding this cannon. If you go for the cannon, I'm going to all-in you. Q's on straight away to bait out the Akshan E before he fires out his stun. Throws out one E, as it's going to make your opponent juke and try to dodge it. Before he chucks out the second one, you can see holds it for a really long time. Bit of a mistake there. He undershot it for sure, but really good idea from him. So dashes back here, disengages the trade, and now he's in a great position. It's really good for Irelia to make this lane really volatile, both of you low HP, as your all-in threat is so strong. So primes the caster there, double jumps onto it, forces the trade onto him yet again. So fires out his ulti first. So waiting here, you can see for his Q to come back up. Primes E1 before going in. You can see flash Q2. Just misses the Q2, unlucky, but still able to pick up the kill. So I'd say the biggest improvement that you could take from this type of gameplay, if you wanted to apply it to your own game, is how to play the 1-3. The 1-3 is so important in this type of matchup, as if you get behind or lose too much HP, you're not going to be able to play off the bounce back, and valuing your back timer really highly. You can see the second the Akshan left, he insta-cleared the wave and based. Irelia's got one of the best wave clear in the game, so you can force recalls whenever you want. Even though he didn't technically need to base after he cleared mid wave and top wave, he still used it as a timer to get an extra recall off, get extra items so that he's at full power for the all-in. Moving on to a full game review. Now, Irelia is probably one of the hardest champions to translate your lead on in the game, so I wanted to showcase this one, and in this game here, even though he does obliterate his lane opponent, his bot lane got completely destroyed. Classic top lane, but not only did they get destroyed, they got destroyed on champs like Jhin and Karma that need to win lane, so I thought it'd be a great game to review. So we can see level 1, yet again, waiting for his minions to get low, before he can Q onto them and get stacks. Goes for one auto attack just in case Maokai had bone plating. Looks to pop that in case he hadn't. And now that the wave is coming in, he's going to be looking to go in. Now still weaving in auto attacks between Qs, even though he doesn't have stacks. That doesn't change. And then once he's on 3 stacks, Qs onto the Maokai straight away and makes it really volatile. Now the kill angle he saw here is one that not many Irelias would have seen. The second he saw Maokai waste his Q, you can see here he flashes onto him very shortly and just chases him down. Now if you're curious about why Maokai has Ignite, if you're wondering if that's good or not, it is pretty good on Maokai top to take Ignite and TP into a lot of volatile matchups like Irelia or Olaf, where you need that healing cut and that extra damage, because the best defense is a good offense in those types of lanes, but because Irelking played the early lane so much better, it didn't actually end up helping him there. So TP's back to lane, and you'll notice his back timer was really good as well. Instead of just trying to push the wave, even though he could, because he's playing Irelia, he bases with the wave coming back to him to give himself more opportunities to trade. Now, the upcoming trade from him was pretty much perfect. You'll see very shortly he goes for a perfect trade. So trims the wave in and goes on to him. Now that he's level 3, you can see it chucks out E1, holds on to the E to make the Maokai juke around, tries to dodge the E2, Qs away here. Now he's not just QEing for style points, he Qs away here to make it so Maokai's not in range to W Irelia to go untargetable and dodge this E animation. So it goes for the stun, trims the minion, Qs back onto him here, holds onto Q the whole time, waiting for Maokai to Q, jumps off that minion as well, and chases him down here. Now the reason, well, because of this great trade, he was able to get a dive off of his jungler, where if he only did one thing different, if he didn't use his Q away for a minion to dodge the Maokai W animation, he wouldn't have been able to hit his stun, he wouldn't have gotten a trade so good, and this dive wouldn't have worked, but because he understands the matchup so well, he was able to get an explosive lead in this game due to great matchup understanding. So gets a kill onto the Maokai there, trims the wave, proxies it here, and goes for a recall as well. If you're curious about his first base, by the way, he did go into Jack of all trades. He went boots into dagger for the 5 stacks straight away, and now coming back to lane, looking to continue his aggression. So his game plan here, with jungler pathing down, and no real way to dive this Maokai by himself, he's going to be looking to freeze and grow an advantage. So he doesn't want to be freezing with Maokai full HP, of course, so looking to get a trade as well. So queuing in here, playing off his level 5, waiting a bit patiently, queues onto there, waiting for level 5, he's really close to it, so he doesn't want to be taking a trade without it, but he knows he can get level 5 during this trade here. So queues onto 1 minion for level 5, queues onto him, and you'll notice it's very tempting to clear this wave here with Irelia when the queue's back up, but he's going to be holding on to it, doesn't want to be pushing the wave too fast, wants the wave to come back towards him and punish his half HP Maokai. So here you can see, I'll go back to it. So a lot of Irelias know the trick where you prime a custom minion so that you can jump to it and you kind of play in this range. But if you can double jump, so play down here, after this minion, you can see, if you play down here, you can double jump 1, 2, and 2 and E. It's a lot harder for your opponent to respect because you're so far away from them, they don't really expect the range which you can dish out an all-in, and he's able to get a good trade onto him. So now Maokai has to base. He did think about basing, but he decided to stay. He knew he had enough of an advantage, level 6 versus level 4, very shortly, that he could stay and punish without that extra item and resource from the recall. So Maokai coming back here, you can see holding this freeze. Even though his jungler's playing for grubs, he knows that even if there's a contest here, he can trim the wave in a hurry and move down to it. So he prefers to hold onto his freeze, really min-maxing, getting grubs and also the wave at the same time. But you'll notice he's not oblivious to grubs. Look at his positioning here. If there's a fight of grubs, he's going to be there first before Maokai, so he's constantly ready for if anything does happen to it, but he's not just defaulting to, oh, we're playing for grubs, I better push in my wave and move to it, because if he does that, he's going to lose this really nice freeze that he has, and he won't be able to grow such a massive CS like he had, CS lead like he does in this game. So keeping the wave here, looking to punish Maokai, walking up here when the minion gets low, you'll see, trying to deny XP as well as gold. So the minion's about to die here, so he walks up, makes him lose experience as well. So really punishing him. Irelia is one of the strongest melee laning champs, so you definitely need to be able to use it like he's doing in this game. and he's just holding this freeze for a really long time. So I'll speed through it. You can see every time minions start to get low, he will try to walk up and punish XP. If you want this cannon minion, you have to pay a big HP tax for it, and here you can see Maokai does that. He didn't want to give the minion the experience from the cannon, so he's able to get an all in. Now, another thing about Irelia that he showcases here is when the wave is walking in, it's actually a good time to all in, despite being different on a lot of different champions, because your ulti will get the caster minions low for you. So you'll see here, he uses ulti on him and the wave at the same time, it trims the caster minion's HP, so now he has a lot of jumps to really stick onto this Maokai. So Q's a minion, sticks onto him here, chases him down, Q's that minion as well, flash auto Q, and able to pick up the kill, Wing that last tower shot as well. So perfect stuff by him. You can see he chose a timer where not only Maokai wanted to walk in and get cannon minion XP range, but also the next wave was coming so that he could utilize the jumps from ulti, trimming those casters down to half HP. So basing here, coming back to lane, doesn't quite have the Blade of the Irelking yet, but still very strong. And now at this point, he's going to be looking to blow up the tower. He's got a big enough lead. He doesn't want to freeze any longer. 45 CS, more than enough. So comes back to lane here, looking to go for a trade. Maokai did dodge the E there with his W. And you can see weaving in orders between every Q that he can. It's a good trade from him. Looking to get the Maokai's HP bar low, because if you do want to hit the tower in front of your opponent, you do want to trim them. So Q's onto this minion, autos him, and steps backwards here. You can see just in case Maokai W'd, he Q'd back, trying to kind of bring the Maokai back to him out of the town. But the Maokai is having none of it. He's been shit on too hard. He doesn't want to participate. But you can see if we press tab, bot lane is getting equally destroyed, if not more, because there's two of them on champions that are less useful, where you've probably experienced a lot of games as a top laner yourself, where you do really well versus like a Maokai or a Malphite, but they're still quite useful in the game. This Maokai is kind of useful as well, and the bot lane was not, but he's still able to carry the game despite that. Trims a wave here, bases. Once you have Blade the Irelking, you want to get that as soon as possible, and no exception here. Bases grabs the Bork, and now he's going to be looking to blow up this tower. So one shots the wave here, well stacks up two waves together, better than one, and now going for the tower. Really good quality of life change, keeping up your passive stacks on the tower, but instead of just sitting here and playing for the third plate, he wants to block the Maokai from going back to the lane. But you see here, he stacked up his passive again by Wing the Golem, and then walks back here. Goes for the E, good dodge by Maokai, but got the ulti, we got the ulti animation down, buffered it through the Maokai Q, and able to stick onto him and beat him down here. You can see how much extra damage he's doing with the Bork, and now able to just keep going for the plates, keep up his stacks, and Q away if he has to. A lot of pressure now. You can see his game plan shifted. Once he knew he had the lead from the early solo killing, the early freezing, he shifted his focus completely away from freezing and killing Maokai even more, and instead trying to blow up the tower. But that is a more risky style. You can see more champs are getting involved, and the Lee Sin comes up as well, and he's looking to play this out. So you'll see here, Q's away, looking to keep his passive stacks up as much as he can. Gets a tower played as well. You'll see Q's onto that mini golem. Looks to keep his passive stacks going. Proxies the wave as well. And then looking to blow up the first tower. So really good lead from him. I'm pretty sure they actually killed him. Proxies the wave, even denying even more XP from Maokai. 3-level gap. You think he wouldn't want much more than that, but he wants to be getting as fed as possible. So he breaks the tower here and does die. But you can see such a massive lead in this game. Blade of the Irelking versus Bramble. So now it's time to move on to the mid game. Now, from this point in the game, he's pretty close to his second item, so he's just going to be farming towards that Hullbreaker, and also trying to get the top tier 2 if he can, but the enemy team did defend it here, so just looking to crash in the wave and pressure tower. He can ignore the Maokai and hit it in this game, so if you can ever hit the tower and ignore your opponent, that's the most pressuring thing you can do. You'll notice he sniped him with a W just before he moves in to keep his passive stacks up, and looking to do that just here. So he keeps in the tower, looks to play for tier 2, but backs out now. He doesn't want to get CC'd under tower. So it goes for the golems here. A lot of the time in the mid game for Irelia, you're just going to be keeping your opponent stuck inside, perma-farming the waves, the camps, and playing for that tower if you can. But Skarner knows that too, looking to punish here. So it comes up, but they don't really have the damage to 1v2 him at this point, so he just kites it out, keeps his passive stacks up, trims the wave, and you can see putting pressure on them, making it hard for them, pulling Skarner away so his team can play the game without having to deal with Skarner. But now that he has his item, he's just going to base and get it as soon as possible right after this wave. Grabs a Hullbreaker, runs straight to bottom here. You can see the next objective is here. So he's going to be pulling people away from that or trying to play for the bot tier 2. So go straight here. Now, some of you'll notice is he didn't go for the golems. That's just because the time when you can farm your own camps is if you have free time. He doesn't really have free time at the moment. His team is posturing up. There's a Herald fight about to happen. So he needs to be creating pressure as fast as possible. Even though golems, he takes pretty quickly. It'd slow him down 10-15 seconds. And he doesn't want to put his team in that situation where they have to 5v4. He wants to create pressure and keep Aurora pinned here. But you can see eating the enemy camps while you're waiting for the wave, it's not really wasting time. He didn't lose any time at all, and now playing for this tower. So you can see even though Aurora did answer him, he's not afraid of her. He's 2 items, even if he gets chunked, he knows he can break the tower in front of her, and he keeps going. He's really trying. The time to play the most aggressive in side lane is when your teammates are doing stuff, when they're pressuring, when they're fighting and getting caught out and feeding. That's exactly what's happening here. So he uses that timer to play aggressive himself up against his top this TF3. However, they did send 2 people to stop him, caught him off guard here, and he just does his best to play it up and take the tower down on his dying breath. So slows it down here. You can see goes for the tower. He was able to barely just not get it. It was very close, but you can see it's the right idea. When the enemy team was pressuring his team, he was pressuring side the hardest, and he pulled the Maokai and Aurora away from that player. Irelia is not really the best team fighting champ, so your skill set is a better use in side lane, trying to bring people to you, especially in a game like this where you do well in lane and you can pressure that tower 1v1. So it goes for the golems here, getting the wave at the same time, right after, and looking to play for the Rift Herald here. So it goes onto it here, you can see he helps it out. Big reason why he helped it out is because he actually wanted the buff himself, picks it up here, and looking to play for side tier 2. Really good if you can take the Herald buff. I know the time your jungler won't give it to you, but if you can take the buff on a strong side laning champ, really good, because a lot of people default to Herald in mid, but using Herald inside to pick up tier 2s is a better way to exploit the game. So it does that just now. Builds into tier 2, goes for the tower here, and looks to beat down this Maokai. So Lee Sin trolled here. It wasn't just the bot lane trolling. His jungler was also a bit of a specimen here, but still able to get the kill, and looks to play for the tier 3 here. His main goal is to pull people away while maximizing his golden XP. If you check his CS here, 210 at 19 minutes, so that's going to be very standard for an Irelia player. And you can see he's draw people to him, draw all the enemy team 80 carry support mid, and now just looking to base and pick up his wits end. So grabs his 3rd item here. This game he went tier 1 boots. He doesn't do that every game. Sometimes he goes tier 2s on his first recall, as we saw with his Akshan. But depending on how much gold you're basing on, sometimes you do just end up sitting on tier 1s, and it's not really a problem. So here, this is where he made probably his biggest mistake of the game. This was his only death, I'd say, is a bad one, where he went for a team fight here, where his mid laner is dead. His mid was probably the 2nd most useful champ on his team. Everyone else is quite useless, so he should have gone for a fight at a time when she was ready. He's still able to get 1 kill, but he overextended here, and went onto them when their bot lane is just so strong and they have way too much CC for him to do this. So he gets caught out here. It's going to happen to everyone. But now that mistake was pretty game-changing. He did end up losing the Baron, but he's still able to pull it back. So he got caught out, lost Baron. Let's see what he does next. Run straight mid out of base, just in case there were some stragglers he could pick up after the Herald. But now looking to go bot and create pressure. So hard shots away, just grabs Golem on the way here, because his teammate's not posturing around. He's got free time now. His team are basing, the enemy team's dead. There's no big fight that's going to happen. So he had a bit of free time to eat Golems on that timer there. Pushing a bottom here, looking to farm camps as well, and bully the opponents off. You can see here, really looking to beat down the Skarner. So much CC, just sticking onto him. We can see holding Q for a long time, waiting for Skarner to get out of range before he needs the Q, and then goes for the Q, buffers the Q through the Ashe ulti CC. It's a really good animation buffer there, and then fires ulti straight after. I'm pretty sure this kind of died to the ulti, so good on him. And you'll notice here, chucks out his E1, Q's onto Maokai, uses Maokai as a bridge to reach Ashe with Q2. Q's in here, brings the Maokai with him, probably on accident, but you know, nothing you can do about that. And then flashes and gets the 1k shutdown on the Ashe. So really good team fighting by him, holding onto Q the whole time until Skarner got out of range, but deciding to adapt and use his Q to buffer it through the Ashe ulti CC. Really great team fighting by him. So looking to break down this inhib, you can see how much damage he does with the Hull Breaker. Gets a good E there, and just keeping up this front to back. Pretty sure he did die here, but he got so much DPS down before he died. Definitely worthwhile for him. So speed it up now, wait for him to respawn, and looking to play on the opposite side again. So run straight to top here, opposite side of Dragon. The Dragon Soul is what the new team's going to play for, so he wants to be creating pressure there. Eats the Grump on the way, runs shots at this point, going for Death Stance as his 4th item, with tier 2 boots here, bases and TPs here. So even though you do want to primarily side lane, you don't want to give any of the big objectives. You don't want to give Baron, you don't want to give Soul, you don't want to give Elder. So it looks to TP in and help his team get some control back for this Dragon Soul fight here. So it goes in here, goes for the ulti onto 2. Just playing front to back. Most of the time on Irelia, you're going to be playing more of a front to back style, as your DPS is so high, and it's quite hard for you to find flanks. You can do it, especially if you have flash, but he doesn't have flash at this point, so instead opting for a front to back. So there he was kiting out, going for the Aurora, Q's onto the Ashe, looks to beat her down, W's just before she gets stunned by the Braum, and just looking to keep up this DPS. So Qing out of there, and you can see pretty standard team fighting on Irelia, just looking to front to back and go on the closest target, just keeping up your DPS and going in. The hard part's probably going in at the right time, knowing when you can Q onto the backline, and there the Ashe got kicked out of position, so she did find a timer to do so. So breaks his tower down, looking to go onto Aurora here. Most likely not going to be using her flash, doesn't have it, and then looking to get the dragon for his team. And going to be looking to recall here. The enemy team did try to stop the recalls after they got that dragon. Aurora went for a TP, but they are going to be able to get that base off. So if you're curious about the build, he went more of Mormortius here. Their mid laner is the biggest problem for him. Really high AP burst damage. Even though Ashe is fit as well, he already has the ninja tabbies. It doesn't really need more armor, so it's better for him to go MR up against that burst. So now you'll see Baron is up next, so he actually goes top here. You don't want to be split pushing away, especially if you don't have TP, when one of the big three are up. When there's Baron, there's Soul, there's Elder. If he went bot here with no TP, you wouldn't really have time to get the wave to here before the Baron fight happened. So better for him to go top, to clear this wave, and play for that Baron fight. So we'll see that Orianna was trolling a little bit. She was a bit late, so they're pinging her to join. There's some assist me pings, missing pings trying to get her involved. And this fight he actually opts into a flank. One, because he had good positioning. The enemy team was out of position. But also he has flash here, so the flank's going to be a lot easier for him. And he has access to a blast cone. So cones in, goes for an ulti over the wall, uses Braum as a hop, goes onto the Ashe here, and then looking to continue the dash onto her. So got pulled away by Skarner, but able to get the E off just before she got CC'd, and then Q'd on. So you can see she didn't use her W at that time. She didn't need to, as it was just tanks hitting her. And continuing the fight, just playing it A front to back, as you do have quite a lot of DPS even to tanks if you get snowballed on this champion. So really good team fight by them. They initially thought they could end, but they can't in this time, I'm pretty sure. So they just went off and got Baron, which is not a... the enemy team got Baron, actually, which is not a problem at all, as they can win a team fight. So a bit of greedy there for the end. He got a bit excited there, trying to carry the spot lane, but not too bad. So here, going bottom, you can see the Kana Rukun. We talked a little bit about this game. The only threat on him is the Aurora. These tanks, they do a lot of magic damage too, but mainly the Aurora is the biggest threat. 4 items with Death Cap is the biggest problem for him, so he just opts into overstacking on MR, because probably from his point of view, if he kills Ashe and has a bunch of MR, he's going to be relatively unkillable. So bases now, goes for a potion, and then straight back onto the map. He knows they're going to fight this Soul. Again, can't go top, even though he has TP, he doesn't have time to get the wave to here. So better for him to play for this Soul fight. So rocks up early, looking to play more of a front to back style most likely, and wait for them to come in. E1 goes for the E2 on Skarner, wasn't able to hit it, but Q's in, gets this fight started, and gets pulled in here. But you can see he got his W off just before the Skarner ulti. He was able to get that spell down, and able to get a relatively easy fight. Just front to back, you can see bashing them down. Very, very standard at this point. So really impressive game from him, able to carry his bot lane. I'd say the way he played the lane was of course the most impressive, getting such an explosive lead, but he also had quite a good understanding of how to play the mid game. He didn't overgroup apart from that one bad fight here. He was really pressuring side, pulling people to him, maximizing his gold income, even at this point still 10 CS per minute, even though he grouped and died quite a lot. So really great understanding of this champion, and pretty much a game that only he would carry. Alright team, that's it for now, and I don't know about all of you, but making this video made me really excited to make an Irelia full in-depth guide in the future. But would love to get back on the champion, shake the rust off, and really make a great guide for you. So if that sounds good, if you want to see me work on that Irelia guide, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you all next time.